I've scored band 9 in the IELTS reading test 3 times. In this video, I'm going to share how I got there and how you can use the same approach to score as high as possible on your test. Many candidates with strong English skills still find IELTS reading difficult, not because they can't understand the passages, but because they don't use the right strategies. They try to read every word, they lose focus when an answer is hard to find, and they go through each passage from beginning to end before they even look at the questions. Candidates who score high do things very differently. They use smart focus techniques that help them stay on track and find the correct answers quickly. Strategy can make all the difference. We've helped thousands of students prepare this way through our IELTS packages. With clear steps and strategic preparation, they've turned confusion into confidence. In this video, you'll learn what those techniques look like in practice. You'll get 10 powerful strategies that can change the way you approach the IELTS reading test. If you're tired of running out of time or seeing the same score come up again and again, keep watching. This might be just what you've been looking for. The first strategy is one that many candidates overlook. Make sure you know what to expect before you walk into the test room. The IELTS academic reading test gives you 60 minutes to work through 3 passages and answer 40 questions. The passages get progressively more challenging, and the question types change across the 3 sections. Passage 1 typically includes question types like true, false, not given, sentence completion, matching information, and short answer questions. These test your ability to find specific details quickly. Passage 2 often includes matching headings, matching features, summary completion, and true, false, not given. These tasks ask you to understand how ideas and relationships are structured in the text. Passage 3 is often considered the most difficult. It commonly features multiple choice questions with distractors and yes, no, not given tasks. It also uses paraphrase summary completion tasks. These require deep understanding, inference, and the ability to identify the main ideas. When you know these question types well before the test, you don't waste time figuring out the instructions during the test. You can focus entirely on finding the correct answers instead. Strategy number 2 is essential. Always read the questions before you start reading the passage. This is one of the most effective habits you can build for IELTS reading, and many candidates simply don't do it. When you read the questions first, you know what information you're looking for. You don't have to read through the whole passage and then go back to search for answers. Instead, you can read the passage with a purpose. You know which names, numbers, dates, and key ideas to look out for. This saves you a lot of time and helps you stay focused throughout the text. Take some time per set of questions to get a clear picture of what you need to find. Pay attention to the key words in each question. These are the words you'll be looking for when you move through the passage. You will also want to watch out for words that mean the same thing. Let's move on to strategy 3, scanning. Scanning means moving your eyes quickly over the text without reading every word. You do this to locate a specific piece of information. This might be a name, a date, a number, or a place. Scanning is useful for question types that ask you to find specific details. These include short answer questions, sentence completion, and questions where you need to match information. When you scan, you don't slow down to understand every sentence. You move fast and you stop only when you spot something that looks like it could be the answer. To scan well, keep the keywords from the question in your mind as you move through the passage. When you find a word or phrase that matches, slow down and read that section carefully to confirm your answer. Scanning is not about guessing. It's about using your time strategically so you find the right section of the passage quickly. Now, here is an important point about strategy 4, skimming. Skimming means reading quickly to get the general meaning of a text. A lot of candidates believe that skimming is a strategy you should use for every passage. However, that is not quite right. Skimming is most useful specifically for matching headings questions. In matching headings tasks, you need to choose the best heading for each paragraph or section of the passage. To do this well, you need to quickly understand what each paragraph is mainly about. You do not need every detail in it. That's where skimming works well. You read the first and last sentence of each paragraph. Then you get a general sense of the paragraph's main idea and match it to the most relevant heading from the list. For most other question types, you'll be more effective by scanning for specific information rather than skimming the full passage. Using the right reading approach for the right question type is what separates high-scoring candidates from those who lose valuable time. Strategy 5 is all about time management, and it is something that many candidates get wrong. You have 60 minutes for 40 questions, which means you have about 20 minutes per passage. That sounds straightforward, but it requires real discipline during the test. One of the biggest mistakes candidates make is spending too much time on one passage. They then run out of time on the third one. Passage 3 is often considered the hardest, and it's also where a lot of candidates rush or give up. Don't let that happen to you. Keep track of the time as you work. If you've used your allotted time on passage 1 and you haven't finished it, move on anyway. Also, don't leave any question blank when you submit your answers. There is no penalty for a wrong answer, so always give an answer, even if you're not sure. A guess gives you a chance of getting the mark. A blank answer gives you nothing. Now, here is an important point. Many IELTS candidates think that knowing a few reading strategies is enough to get a strong result, but it's not enough. To do well in IELTS reading, you need to understand how the different question types work and which strategies you need to use to find the answers fast. That's exactly what we teach in our IELTS packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the reading test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how IELTS reading questions are designed and which strategies they need to apply to answer them successfully. Our IELTS packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, practice tests, and much more. If you're serious about achieving the IELTS score you need, click the link below to learn more. Now, let's continue with the 6th strategy. It is one of the most important skills in IELTS reading, recognizing paraphrasing. In the test, the questions very rarely use the same words as the passage. Instead, they use synonyms and different sentence structures to express the same idea. This is called paraphrasing, and it's something the IELTS examiners often do on purpose. For example, a passage might say, "The number of participants declined sharply." The question might say, "There was a significant drop in the number of people involved." The meaning is the same, but the words are different. If you're looking for the exact words from the question, you won't find them and you'll lose the mark. To get better at this, start paying attention to synonyms and alternative ways of expressing the same idea when you practice. When you read a passage, ask yourself, how could this sentence be rephrased? The more comfortable you become with paraphrasing, the faster you'll be able to match questions to the relevant part of the passage. Let's talk about strategy 7, how to handle true, false, not given questions. These are some of the most difficult questions in IELTS reading, and a lot of candidates find them confusing. The key is to understand what each answer actually means. You choose true when the statement agrees with the information in the passage. You choose false when the statement contradicts the information in the passage. To contradict the information means to directly disagree with what the passage says. You choose not given when the passage simply doesn't mention the information in the question at all. The biggest mistake candidates make with these questions is choosing not given when the answer is actually false, or the other way around. To avoid this, always go back to the passage and find the specific sentence that relates to the question. Ask yourself, does the passage say the opposite of what the question states? If yes, it's false. Does the passage say nothing about it at all? Then it's not given. Never answer these questions based on your own general knowledge. Only use what the passage actually says. Also note that yes, no, not given questions work in a similar way. However, they focus on the writer's opinions and claims rather than factual information. Keep this distinction in mind when you work through passage 3. Strategy 8 is a mindset strategy, and it can save you a lot of marks. Do not get stuck on one question. This is something almost every candidate struggles with at some point during the test. You read a question, you can't find the answer, and you keep looking and looking while the clock keeps ticking. The problem is that spending too much time on a single question means you might miss other questions further on that you could have answered easily. Every question in the test is worth 1 mark. A question you find difficult is worth the same as a question you find straightforward. So if you can't find an answer quickly, mark it, move on, and come back to it later. When you come back with fresh eyes, you'll often spot the answer much faster. This works better than staying stuck the first time. High-scoring candidates know that keeping a steady pace through the test is more important than getting every answer in order. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Strategy 9 focuses specifically on multiple choice questions. These appear most often in passage 3 and are designed to be tricky. The IELTS examiners often include distractors in these questions. Distractors are answer choices that look correct at first but aren't. They are designed to test whether you've really understood the passage or just spotted a familiar word. The best way to approach multiple choice questions is to read the question stem carefully. Identify what it's actually asking before you look at the options. Then find the relevant section of the passage and read it closely. After that, go through each answer option and eliminate the ones that don't match the passage. Be especially careful with options that use exact words from the passage. Just because a word from the passage appears in an answer choice doesn't mean that choice is correct. Always check whether the meaning matches, not just the vocabulary. Take your time with passage 3. It is longer and more complex, but the marks are exactly the same as they are in passages 1 and 2. Working carefully through these questions is worth every second. Here is the final strategy. Get used to reading academic texts regularly. The IELTS academic reading test asks you to read a substantial amount of academic text in 60 minutes. The passages cover topics from science, history, sociology, technology, and more. If you're not used to reading this kind of text regularly, it can feel overwhelming. The best way to prepare is to read academic articles, quality newspaper features, and non-fiction texts in English regularly. Aim for at least 20 to 30 minutes of focused reading each day. As you read, practice the strategies from this video. Read the questions first when you do practice tests. Look for paraphrasing. Scan for specific information. Time yourself so that working within 20 minutes per passage starts to feel natural. The more you practice under realistic conditions, the more confident and efficient you'll become. Consistent, strategic practice is what took me to band 9 3 times. It can also help you score as high as possible on your test. That's it. These are 10 strategies for IELTS reading. If you want expert guidance for your IELTS preparation, check out our IELTS packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, sample answers, practice tests, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video!